weird talking to a camera and there's no screen to see what's going on, but hopefully the laptop will help out with that. Oh no, we haven't caught up yet. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Okay, let's see who's in the workshop. We have Roger Heaps. Good morning, Roger. You might recognize the bike in the background. Good morning, Andy and crew. Well, just you and me, Roger. I'm sure a few more will come along shortly. So how's life? You good? Been working hard? Doing the fish food? Sorry, it's not fish food, is it? It's food for the, what is it? It's the stuff you put on the ground. Fertilizer from the fish. That's right, fish bits. I remember now. So, what's been going on in your world, matey? Been busy? Bum, bum, bum. I've been extremely busy. Very, very busy indeed. I've got quite a few jobs stacked up at the moment. There'll be an update on the Polaris during this live stream. We finally have some more parts, so we'll take a look at those. And I want to talk about prices for parts for ROVs at the moment, because they are just astronomical. They're out of the gate. Unbelievably expensive. And it came to light whilst trying to find the parts to repair the front diff on this Polaris Ranger. Not good at all. Who have we got? We've got JJ. Morning, Andy and crew. Big thumbs up. Morning, JJ. Roger Heaps, I did double take the thumbnail. I bet you did. I recognise that bike. That's the one the shed fell on, right? More on that shortly. Simon, morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Simon. Welcome back, matey. Now, Simon, just to let you know, and the viewers that have just joined us, I am using the main camera on the phone. The aspect ratio is now correct. Hoo-hoo. And everything's the right way around. The only downside is I do struggle to, I've got to adapt, right? Because I'm used to seeing the image on the phone and I can frame things a bit easier. So, you know. Oh, and I had a shave, by the way. I had a shave. It was getting really, well, there was things living in there again. So, you know, it had to be done. Richard Perry, morning, Andy and crew, GB badge, which is on this side. There we go. Roger, happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Mechanic. You saved my bacon there, Roger. Okay, thank you very much, Mother's Day. Cool. I'll have to send my mum a message in the UK. Well, actually, I could do it on the live stream because she watches the live stream. So, happy Mother's Day, Mum, from me, the other side of the world. I miss you. I really do. Yeah. A lot's happened the last couple of years, and it would have been good to have a mum around, to be honest, just to talk to now and again, you know. But it is what it is. So, what have I been up to? Well, I've been on the lathe last couple of days, making more lathy swarfy stuff. To be honest, it's absolutely packed with swarf now, and I need to get that cleaned out. Well, Mrs. Mechanic, that's, you know, she could do that. She could help me with that. The Polaris saga continues. There's some more videos going to be in the can, hopefully, by the end of today. Still got brake pipe to fit at the rear. That's got a hole in it. Polaris seem to use a lot of long, flexible brake pipes, which tend to be a little bit less resilient to failure than the steel pipes. But anyway, that's their design. So I've got that to swap out and bleed the system. We've got rear wheel bearings to fit. We've got a front diff to fix. And we've got a lot of drive shafts to put back in again. And I think once all that's done, oh, and a puncher to fix. If I get round to it. I might not. We will have to wait and see. Maybe let Craig do that. But other than that, I think that's everything we need. So fingers crossed we can get that machine out. Because it's taking up a lot of room in the workshop. But it's been a great platform for those videos. It really has. And I'm sure they'll be very helpful to people in the future. Richard Perry, morning, Andy, you done that one. Big thumbs up. Cheers, Richard. Roger, done that one. JJ, yay, you're the right way around. Ta-da! I know, I bit the bullet. Once the aspect ratio started to change, and the phone is set to 9:16 aspect ratio on both cameras, I have no idea why YouTube was messing the image up. I'm too early in the morning. I'm tired. I've been working hard. Tired. So we'll see how things pan out. I'm sort of slowly getting used to it. So it's just me, not you guys. I just need to get my head around it. Oh, Connor K. Oh, Vijayant. Good evening, Andy and crew. How are you doing, Andy? I'm all right. I hit a bit of a wall yesterday morning, but I had a lot of lathe work to do, so I pushed through. I was a bit concerned about using the lathe whilst tired. It's easy to make mistakes and get injure yourself. So I was doubly cautious, double checking everything. You know, I was always taught double check that the chuck key's not in the chuck. That's a classic error. Never leave the chuck key in the chuck. And also spin the chuck by hand before you start the lathe up. Always. Just to check clearance, because sometimes one of the three chuck pieces that moves, they can stick out a lot further when you're machining larger pieces in the chuck, and they can catch onto your tool post or onto the slider. That lathe has got damage as a result of that, so you've got to be very, very careful. It's not like the Boxford, which would just stop and spin the belt and cause minor damage. That lathe is a lot more powerful, and it would not destroy itself, but it would cause some serious damage and potentially injure me, which is not good. Trying to avoid that if I can. Talking of injuries or physical problems, my back. So where do we go from here? I don't think there's going to be very many doctors on the live stream, but I do have a report. I went for an MRI scan last week. First time ever. Only just fit in the machine, actually. Very cozy it was in there. And a bit weird. Been in there for about 35 minutes, maybe, between all the various tests that they had to do. They had to run various cycles through the machine. Noisy. And I am a little bit claustrophobic, to be honest. And the only way I could deal with it was keep my eyes closed for the entire duration. One thing that I noticed was a bit weird, and I don't know why, was I was trying to, because it's downtime, right? Half an hour. What are you going to do in that half an hour, Andy? Well, let's think about stuff. Take your mind off the machine and think about stuff. So I was trying to think about stuff, and weirdly, I found it quite difficult to think about things, to process stuff. My thought processes seemed to be affected by this massively intense magnetic field that was pulsing through the machine. Now, it might just be me just, thinking something that isn't really there and not really a problem. But, the brain works with electrical pulses and so on, and magnetic fields can disturb those. And I was starting to think, afterwards that maybe that's a side effect of being in the machine. Very weird. Very, very weird indeed. Anyway, let me try and find this email, this report, and I'll read bits out, but I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's pretty much, here we go, gibberish to me. But it does highlight, right, bear with me, where's the summary at the end? Here we go. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with back stuff or not. I sure as hell aren't. It says, so I'm assuming that these reference numbers relate to each of the segments in your spine, right? And in between the segments, there are discs, cartilage type discs. So between T12 and L1, it says that there's a 19 millimeter disc protrusion. Fills the anterior lateral recess and briefly touches the origins of the left L1 nerve roots. They go on to say there's more. There's quite a bit. I don't want to bore you, but this is like, it's sort of diagnosis of a human as opposed to diagnosis of a vehicle. So it does interest me a little bit, given the fact it's my back as well. So L1 to 2, so segment L1 to segment L2, the cartilage that sits in between those two. There's a 14 millimeter left anterior lateral recess forminal disc protrusion, touches the origins of left L2 roots. L2 to 3, 16 millimeter left formal extra forminal disc protrusion causes splaying of the left exiting L2 roots around the extra forminal zone. That sounds serious. L3 to 4, another 16mm broad central left far lateral zone disc protrusion fills the anterior lateral recesses and left neutral exit foramen with touching both L4 nerve origin roots, most prominent on the left. It also combines with the above mentioned spondylosis changes to cause mild moderate central canal stenosis, area 84mm squared. There's a lot on that one. That doesn't sound good. L4 to 5, mild broad-based posterior disc bulging and the above mentioned spondylus changes combine to cause early narrowing of the central canal. No nerve root compromise. So I imagine the central canal is where the main nerves run, you know, your spinal cord, I suppose you'd call it. L5 to S1, this is the last one. 13mm central disc left formal disc protrusion touches the origins of the S1 of left S1 roots in the anterior lateral recess. So, my take on that, and I could be completely wrong because I'm not a doctor, I have no idea, but it sounds to me like there's 5 discs, those cartilage discs, are not quite where they should be anymore. Somewhere between 13 and 16mm of movement. What the hell has caused all that? And no wonder I was in so much pain. That's the bad news. The good news is the electric shocks that have been firing down both of my legs independently. Initially it was the right hand leg, then it was the left hand leg, and then it started to wane. That hasn't happened for a few days. I take that as a good thing. There's a constant ache in my back, but to be fair, I've had a constant ache in the base of my back for many, many years. So I would say that I'm almost back to normal, but you know, based on how it happened, and there was the TD42 crankshaft was on the motorcycle hoist, and I was moving things around, and it rolled towards me, and one end of it started to fall off the hoist, and it would have landed on the ground. And of course, crankshafts don't like to land on the ground, so of course I stopped it. But by the time I got hold of it, the bulk of the mass was off the side of the hoist. So I took the weight, but it was a sudden grab, you know, as this thing was starting to fall. And then I twisted to put it back on the hoist, and I think it was that combined sudden, you know, reflex of catching the crank and turning to my left that then, you know, triggered all the problems. Caused some of these discs to move around a bit, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I wanted to share that with you because having a bad back and having, you know, the effects it has on your body of being a mechanic are significant, and they only get worse over time. You know, when you're young, you don't care. I didn't bother about, you know, the problems. I didn't even realize what the problems would be to lift engines out of engine bays of little Suzuki Jeeps. I know they don't weigh a phenomenal amount, but to bend over, put your, you know, because I was stood on the inner wheel arches, and to bend right down and grab hold of the engine and give it a wiggle and pull it out the gearbox, and then slide it forward, and then literally lift the engine up and put it onto a plank of wood that we'd had across the engine bay. That's not good for you. It's not good at all. And you combine that with carrying axles around on my shoulder and all the other dumb stuff that I did when I was, you know, probably up to about 30 odd years old. Word of warning. If you're a young lad, young mechanic out there, you know, starting out in the career, just be careful, you know. I remember at work, and no, it didn't go in the accident book. at work, I was asked to build an ATV from the crate. And the ATVs come with no shocks fitted, so they're flat packed in the crates, just so they can get more crates in the container, which is fine. But yeah, I had to lift the back of the bike up to get a trolley jack under the chassis of the bike because it was too low to the ground to be able to jack it up to then be able to fit the shocks. And I remember lifting the back of this, it was a 700 quad. They're pretty heavy nowadays, quad bikes. And whilst lifting that bike up and struggling to kick the trolley jack under, sure enough, my back, it went out, I suppose is the phrase. And man, did it hurt. It really, really hurt. So maybe that had a contributing factor. I don't know. But, there would have been a better way of doing it. In fact, there was a better way of doing it. But it would have involved trying to move the quad bike in the crate to get it under the hoist and then find a sling to lift it. Sometimes you're against the clock and you just want to get on with stuff. And 20 years earlier, I wouldn't have thought twice about doing it. And maybe I just forgot I was getting old. Anyway, so that's the verdict. If you've got any kind of knowledge, within that medical background of spines and discs and all that kind of stuff, then, please do share, because I'm going back on Monday for an appointment with a specialist so he can, decipher the results and let me know how bad my back is and what we intend to do to fix it. That's if it can be fixed. I don't know. So that's Monday gone. And Friday, Thursday was gone because that was the MRI. So my days in the workshop are getting pretty numbered at the moment. Scrolling back. Sorry, chaps. Right, Connor K. Morning, Andy and crew. Hope everyone is doing well. Well, I'm all right, Connor. I'm all right. I'm a bit tired. Back's still a bit achy, but I'm a lot better than I was. But the bad news is, I suppose, in some respects, is I have a lot of work to get done. I was working Ben came down for a couple of weeks. As you know, he was on the last live stream, and he's been working on his patrol. And I've been sort of going out, helping him with certain bits and coming back in and doing my own stuff and getting on with the Polaris and filming and all that kind of thing. And we're going to go out. I've put the new lights on so we can go outside onto the side port and take a look to see how progress is going. Ben would like me to get the engine to a point where it's running in the vehicle and make a start, or ideally get all the electrics done. There isn't a lot of electrics. We want to use the original Nissan glow plug system, which I'm going to have to take out of the fun bus because this is now a 12 volt. The donor vehicle was a 24 volt, so we can't use any of the electrics out of that. So there's a bit of research going on with that, how the glow plug relay works, what inputs it has. No doubt there'll be a coolant temp. It'll do its own timer. It shouldn't be over complex. Done them before. Just got to get my head around the wiring diagram. Unfortunately, the service manual that we have from Nissan is pretty damn pixelated, and the wiring diagrams are holy crap, to be honest. Almost illegible. Seeing black and white, so you've got to get the colors of the wires from the lettering on the diagram, and they're so small that you just really can't read them. So I might have to try and source a better version of the manual. Would be helpful, but we'll see how we get on. I'm sure I can work it out. It's not complicated. What do we get to? Jim Haynes, I'm here again. Race last night at Dixieland Speedway in North Carolina. Fairly late night. Pulled in at 4 a.m. That's middle of the night to me, is 4 a.m. Good job, Jim. Good job. I hope all went well. There was no accidents and everybody enjoyed the racing and stuff. I would like to go one day, actually, do one of those speedways. It'd be very cool. And hopefully the next couple of years we'll be there. Jim K. Hello. Good morning, Jim. And again, thank you for your time on the phone earlier in the week. It does help. It's nice to be able to reach out and talk to people about stuff. I don't have many friends here in New Zealand. Very close, small circle of friends. Very different to the UK. But even in the UK, I didn't really reach out to them very much. I was so focused on my business and making it work, and every day was a working day and long days. So, wasn't very social. Yeah, it was a bit of a shame. But no, good to talk, matey. I do appreciate it. Bernarda Brooks, message retracted. What did you say, Bernarda Brooks? Uh, Simon, can't say you have never used the lathe with a cider in your hand. Yeah, probably have, to be fair. Don't make a habit of it, though. It's a bad idea. Things go wrong. For Giant, you have narrowed spaces between your spine. It sounds like it for Giant. It does. JJ, no wonder your back hurts. It does. It's bizarre. Mrs. Mechanic is fantastic, right? Absolutely fantastic. But often, when you're talking to a woman and you say, this hurts or that hurts, get over it. It's nothing like childbirth. It's nothing. They I say belittle you, but they play it down quite a bit. And I feel okay. So sometimes when I hurt myself, I do tend to play it out a little bit, and make more of it than what it really is, just to get a reaction from Mrs. Mechanic and all that kind just for a laugh, really. But hand on heart, this back pain that I've been having recently has been some of the worst pain that I've ever had. And I've crashed vehicles, motorcycles, rolled four-wheel drives. I've done all sorts of bad things, which should have, or potentially could have ended my life, to be fair. But with the back pain, with the fact that you never quite knew where it was going to get you. I could just be reaching to get something and bang, it wouldn't knock me to the ground, but geez, the pain. It could bring a tear to your eye. It really could. It was harsh. And I'm very, very grateful that that's gone away now. I really am. For now. But I am super conscious about what I'm doing. But I think keeping moving and just doing light stuff, which is what I've been doing in the main, has, I think, helped. Doctors might say, no, you'd have been far better at just lying on your back in bed for 2 weeks, Andy. That's impossible for me. I cannot do that at all. Within half an hour, I will be bored senseless. I have to do things, whether it's editing a video, even watching YouTube videos. I enjoy that. I've been watching a lot of ViceScript Garage in the last couple of weeks. Little bits in between breaks and stuff in the workshop and in the office over my lunch. He has long videos, a couple of hours usually, but I might just watch 15-20 minutes, and then I'll go back to that video and watch the next bit, maybe the following day or later that day. Enjoy it. He's a good guy. He really is. Derek, I think his name is. Derek, top bloke. Now then, Simon. Here we go. Slow scrolling down. If the report said A pillar car to C pillar, I'd understand it. Yeah, I get you. I'm clutching at straws. I haven't done any research. I've not Googled what L3 relates to and stuff, but I'm just using a bit of common sense and relate to how the spine is constructed and the symptoms that I've been having, and knowing that you can get slipped discs and that kind of thing, and they can put pressure on the spines, on the spinal cord. So I don't know. Connor K. It's a huge electromagnet. I wonder if people with pins in their teeth or bones can go into an MRI. I heard about an oxygen tank getting pulled into one when a lab room door was open during a scan. Holy crap. I mean, we've seen stuff on the movies with MRI machines and knives flying around and people getting dragged in because of the belt buckles and that kind of thing. And I must admit, all of that flashed through my mind when the guy, I forget his name now, James was his name, when the conveyor belt was rolling me into the machine. And he did say to me, I hear that you're a bit claustrophobic, Andy, so just to let you know, when you go in, your head won't go any further than the outside edge of the machine. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I can, if my head's out, I can cope with that. We're all good. Anyway, halfway through the tests, he comes over on the headphones, because he gave me some headphones to wear, which I thought was bizarre, because, metal. Probably all non-ferrous, right? So we should be good there. He says, you're gonna go a little bit further in the machine now, Andy. And I'm like, what? That wasn't part of the agreement. You're shifting the goalposts, matey. Anyway, before I could say anything, in I went another 6 to 8 inches, and I am now completely and utterly in the machine. It's only 70 centimeters wide as a tunnel, and my shoulders are hard against the side of the machine. My nose is about 1.5 inches, old money, Jim will like that, about 1.5 inches from the top, the top of the tube, the semi-tube that you're in. I am pretty much part of that machine at this point in time. There's no air gaps really, only little ones, and there is nowhere near enough room to move my arms around, let alone get an arm up and out the back to pull myself out. Absolutely no chance. Possibly not even enough room to sort of wiggle on my back like a caterpillar to get out. I was pretty much in that machine and at the mercy of James pressing the exit button, the eject button at the end of the test. So luckily he didn't have any medical problems himself. He managed to see it through the whole test and get me out of the machine safely. But yeah, really weird. We'll be quite happy not doing another one, to be fair. And the heat, man, all the sensors he was telling me are in the bit that you lay on, right? On the, I suppose, the bed, the foamy bit that you lie on. And as when the machine's doing its cycles, it's brr, 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 as it's doing its thing, the heat in my back it wasn't burning, but it was like having a very, very hot water bottle against your back, but in pulses. It was weird. Although you could feel some heat all the time, and even when I got out at the end of it, my back was pretty damn hot, as was the bed that I was lying on. So, yeah, weird stuff, to be perfectly honest. Banana Brooks. Holly was a very competent assistant in the last episode. She didn't appear to need constant prompting. Dexterous use of tools. Not wincy about getting her hands dirty. Well done. Excellent compliment, Banana Brooks. I do appreciate that. Holly's great in the workshop. She's to the point, and that was the first time we did it, I think, where we had 2 cameras rolling, one on the stuff I was doing and the one on the stuff Holly was doing. In the past, we've sort of just done one job at a time, and if Holly's been doing it, I've been filming it or stood next to her just giving her some advice while it's being filmed. But I sort of left her to her own devices a lot more on the strip down of the Linesman bike. She's stripped plenty of motorcycles down in the past. She knows what she's doing. And it greatly speeded up the filming process of that video, and we were against the clock. And I didn't want it to come across as being rushed. I don't think it did. When I edited it up, it seemed to flow pretty well. And it all went to plan. It was good. That bike pretty much fell apart on us. It wasn't like some of the previous ones we pulled apart. And sometimes, you get that swing arm bolt that goes through the back of the engine and it's seized in there. One bolt like that, you can lose hours trying to get it out without causing any damage. And the clock's ticking, Holly can't come down every day, and we need to get the video finished. You can't just get halfway through a job and then sign the video off. That doesn't work very well. Not in my book. So there's a bit of pressure there, but it worked out really well. And she's always a pleasure to work with. She really is. It's great fun having her in the workshop. She's been to Japan recently. Yeah, been on holiday in Japan. Lucky lass. JJ, have you Googled your back symptoms / diagnosis? No, I haven't. I'm going to go and see the guy on Monday anyway, so let's see what he has to say. I don't want to scare myself too much, to be honest. Wade Mayer, howdy Andy and crew. Garage cleaning and scrap prep with the mini-me today. Oh, very nice. Always good to have the kids in the workshop. I said, I mean, Ben's not really a mini me anymore, is he? To be honest, he's just another me, really. He's a little bit shorter. He's a lot stronger these days, I tell you that. It's good to have him around when we need to move heavy stuff. But again, word of warning. I mean, Ben has lifted. I mean, he's not the strongest man in the world. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people out there a lot stronger than Ben is. I had a guy that worked for me, and this is no word of a lie, right? I had a guy that worked for me. He was as rough as nails, big bloke. Made me look like a Lego man, you know. And we were loading scrap onto the trailer, and we had a chassis. And I think from it wasn't a Suzuki Jeep chassis. I think it was Charlie Truck chassis. It was an F55 Daihatsu chassis, so a bit heavier than a Suzuki chassis. And I needed to get it up onto the top of the vehicle. There was a vehicle on the trailer already. We need to get on top of the vehicle. And I went to go and try and lift it, and I couldn't. I mean, I moved it a bit, but I couldn't get it off the ground. And he comes walking around the corner and goes, "Oh, can I give you a hand?" I said, "Yeah, mate. Give me a hand lifting that on there." And he just went to the middle of the chassis, picked it up, and put it on the trailer. Didn't struggle, just picked it up and put it on the trailer, about 6 to 7 feet up. So he was arm's length with this chassis. He just lifted it up, balanced it, and then dropped it onto the trailer. And I just thought, geez, you know, it's a different level of strength is that. I mean, I thought I was strong at the time, but that was just, don't mess with that guy, right? He would just tear you apart. I forget his name. He didn't work for me for that long, but he was just if he'd been a horse, he'd have been a Shire horse. He was just, yeah, just muscle. He must have been. It wasn't, you know, gym fit. He was just genuinely strong guy. Puts things in perspective, doesn't it? You know. Anyway, Connor K, you are right about being careful in your younger working days, Andy. Shipping was good, but I'm suffering now in my older years due to pushing myself too hard. Pains, injuries, all of that come back. They do. And when you're young, you think you're invincible and you don't care. And you know that if you do hurt yourself or you pull a muscle or something, you'll repair quickly and you'll be back on track. You don't really think about the consequences, and you're sure as hell out thinking about things that are going to be causing you a problem in 20 or 30 or 40 years' time. It's just doesn't even cross your mind. You just get on with it. You get the job done. And ultimately, long term, you pay the price. And I, you know, older people at the time would say to me, Andy, you know, bend with your knees, not with your back. Don't lift that; it's too heavy. We'll get, you know, an engine hoist, or we'll find another way of moving it, or we'll get some people to help. And I would just pick things up. I mean, we were off-roading in the Lake District, right? And I had a group of four-wheel drives with me, and we were coming down this mountainside on this old green lane. Great fun. I used to love doing the green laning and did it for many years, taking groups over to the Dales and the Lake District. And we're coming down, and we were very near the end, and we were on this gravelly track. There was a stream to one side, and a big round boulder, well, a few boulders actually, had rolled in off the hillside and rolled onto the track. And this big one was too big to get round. It was bang in the middle. And a good friend of mine, Simon Naylor, fencing contractor, again, strong guy, way stronger than I was. He got out of his vehicle. I think he had a Land Rover. Jeez, yeah, I'm sure he had a Land Rover. And he helped, you know, he was lifting some of these rocks. We were both avoiding this huge one. It was way bigger than all the rest. And, you know, he left that one for me to lift. And I was like, and I thought I'll just try and roll it, you know. And I couldn't roll it. So I bent down, put my arms, cradled this boulder, and it was big. And I only had to go a couple of feet to be able to get it off the edge of the track. And I picked it up. And it was ridiculously heavy. And I don't know if you've ever picked something up that is so heavy that you can't put it back down again. It's weird. It's a weird sensation. Your body seems to lock. And if you try and lower it down, you'll just fall over because you lose your balance. But you've picked it up through like a jerking motion and you sort of pulled it backwards to keep your balance. And I had to literally sort of just fall towards the stream and then put my hands out to land against the rock to stop myself falling over completely. And it took quite some time for that backache to go away. Believe me, I should never have picked that rock up. It was way too heavy. But anyway, we're against the clock. Simon didn't want to move it because, and he was the strong man. So I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just trying to get the rock out of the way. But we could have used a strop on one of the vehicles or a winch, but I didn't. And that's exactly what Connor's talking about. You've got to be careful what you do. Honestly. I am my own worst enemy. I tell you that. Vijayant, don't forget your pie. Right, we will do the pie. Vijayant, thank you. And did you try using ChatGPT on Google with your results? It will make it simpler to understand. I didn't. I'm not really into all that AI stuff, to be honest. But I will. I'll tell you on the next live stream. I want to hear it from the doctor. Right, so we have steak and cheese. This one is from Great Southern Pies. I don't think we've done it. I'm pretty sure we haven't. Proudly made in the South Island of New Zealand. Gourmet taste. Great value. Can't remember how much it cost, but it is a 220 gram pie. It's been in the fridge. Today is the last day on the sell-by dates. Fresh to use until the 10th of the 5th, 2026. And if we'd frozen it, it'd be fine till the 26th of April next year. Who would have thought? Okay. So we're going in. Bearing in mind it's a see-through packaging, so you get to see your pie. It's not... Oh, no, it is perforated. It is perforated plastic. So it would actually sort of be okay in one of those pie warmers in a petrol station, but they do get soggy, to be fair. Okay. Is that going to... I see, I can't frame stuff at the moment, but we'll try. Now, that's the pie. That's the lid. Dum, dum, dum. Structural integrity going round. Underside. Looks pretty good. Feels pretty good. Feels nice and heavy as well. Okay, so there's no more turning around 3, 2, 1 because I've just got to grab the camera, right? So here we go. Let's go and put it in the pie warmer. Oh. Yeah, it's a little bit stiff from being sat down. Right, so here we go. Boom, 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 boom. And then we'll take a look around the workshop and we'll go and look at Ben's patrol while that's warming up. Okay, be a bit further back. More centralised, Andy. There we go. 23 minutes. Nice. Okie dokie. So where do we start? Well, the bike. So a good friend of mine, Roger Heaps, a few years ago, gave me some motorcycles. I think there was a couple of AG 100s that were in, various states of disrepair and bits missing and stuff. And there was this. And this is... You'll recognise the exhaust, you'll recognise the front mudguard, the front wheel, the engine, of course, you'll recognise that. Basically, it looks incredibly similar to the Linesman's bike. And that's because this is the bike that belonged to the Linesman's distant cousin. No, I'm only kidding. It belonged to somebody else. And I think, Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you rode this bike for a while. This was your bike on the farm, which, it's been in one of my sheds for a while, keeping out of the rain. It's in fact, I think Roger was saying when it was in his shed, the shed roof fell down and landed on the bike. And that's why, if you look up there, look, that's why the speedo's broken, the glass. But it didn't cause any real damage, I don't think. It was more cosmetic. Luckily, the fuel tank survived. Lovely patina. Very nice. And it's still got the original decals on it. How cool. But this is the TF, not the TS. This is the TF 185 of the same era. It's got the same exhaust, which tells me it's within a couple of years of the Linesman's bike. It's a little bit rusty in places. I did try to kick it over. We're missing a little bit of an exhaust. It does. The engine is free. Are you ready? There you go. So it's got potential, and I'd like to do a video on trying to get this one running. The carburetor is on. I've no idea. I've not even looked at the bike. Ben gave me a hand getting it out of the shed. I want to get it running. We've taken the chain off of it at some point because it was all seized up. It doesn't push. The brakes are all seized. We had to practically lift it onto the hoist. Yeah, sorry, doctor. Yeah, we had to drag it and lift it onto the hoist. But I don't know what to do with this. You'll see that one of the main differences is it's got a single seat and a much bigger rack. I'd really like the farm bike look, as you all know. Roger was saying, oh, I'll just use it for parts on the lineman's bike. I can't bring myself to do that. There's not many of these farm version bikes around. A lot of them got scrapped. I want to save it, but I can't save it at the moment. I'm doing the lineman's bike. But it's definitely a project for the future. But I want to get it going so I know that the engine actually runs and I can go through it. And, you know, we might have some parts left over from doing the linesman's bike that will help to fix this one up. I don't know. It's going to be a project for the future. It's not a project for this year, but I wanted to get in the workshop and on the hoist and get it out of the shed so I can just refresh myself as to, you know, what's going on. I don't know if this bike was ever on the road, as in registered for the road. Roger might be able to fill me in on that. It has more than the linesman's bike. It's got at least the rear tail light assembly. It's missing the lens, and it's got the bracket for a number plate. It's obviously got the indicators. But a lot of farm bikes do come with indicators, even though they're not registered for the road. So I just don't know. I've not even looked at the frame number. I can't look at the frame number at the moment. It's all too covered up. So we'll have a look at that. The forks, again, are shot, the stanchions. But I think the TF125 front forks will fit. Same with the linesman's bike. So that will be a saving grace on those. You know, I do like this grille. This is like, get out of the way. I mean business. You know, they had a lot of character, the old farm bikes back then. Oh, we're missing a few bolts. Where did they go? At least the top ones are in. But, you know, there should be some bolts in there holding the forks. But anyway. So, and I blew the tyres up to aid trying to drag it. And this one's holding pressure. That's probably got about 30 PSI in there at the moment, to be fair. What's going on there? Oh, look at that. You see? Bent bracket, mudguard bracket. The rear tyre, I blew that up as well. That's holding air as well. I mean, what a machine, honestly. And another difference. 2 side stands. Right-hand side stand. And, of course, it's got the left-hand side stand as well. So, you know, it's a cool bike. It really is a cool bike, and I want to save it. Let me know your thoughts. What would you do with a bike like this in your workshop? Now, I just want to go through threaded rod. I know, a bit of a jump. All right, a bit of a jump. So I've got those, and I want you to guess the prices. So these are a meter long threaded rod. We've got M6, M8, M10, and M12. So give me an idea of how much you think each one of these cost me here in New Zealand. And I've bought these basically for stock, although I do have a job for some of the M12 threaded rod. So give me an idea of what you think that cost. These are all just brights, you know, they're not coated. They didn't do the M6 not coated in it, then it's the zinc one. So that's the only difference in finish. Now, where did I put the bits? The bits bag. Here, look. I did buy some other bits as well. I just want to get the... I think I put the invoice in the bag. I'm hoping I did. Have a look, because it'll tell me the prices. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. I don't know. Yes, I did. God, look at that. I thought I was going mental then. Now, I can't show you the invoice itself because it's got my address on it. But I can tell you the prices. So, any comments? I don't know. We'll have a look later on. I'll tell you now. I'll tell you what the prices are, because you want to go look at Ben's Patrol, right? So, the M6 threaded rod, this one here, there, look, was a grand total of, are you ready? $1.33. for a meter of M6 threaded rod. You heard me right, $1.33 plus 15% tax. Wow. M8 threaded rod. $2.23. That's that one there. $2.23. What the hell? M10. Hang on, I'm gonna have to put it on the bench. M10. $3.57. Right, $3.57 for M10, and the M12 was $6.18. $6.18 for M12 threaded rod, a meter long, by the way, a whole meter. Who would have thought? So I'm going to keep that invoice. I wasn't even on the website to buy threaded rod. I was buying some little tiny screws and stuff, little M3s. And I spotted that and I thought, man, you know, since I'm paying for the postage anyway, why not stock up on some threaded rod? Cheap as chips. Anyway, I'll review the prices when we come in. Let's do one more. Oh, you want to see the lathe, don't you? Oh, a couple more things, actually. There's all sorts going on at the moment. So the lathe, and I've compacted that, right? It was getting to the point where I couldn't machine anymore. It was just all over the place. So I've pushed it right down, squished it down, tried to get as much in the corner as I could. But it needs cleaning, doesn't it? Mrs. Mechanic, it needs cleaning. Come on. What are you playing at? Yes, we've got loads of stuff to do, actually. So I have a spare PicoScope. I have two. I have one up there, the main one, in that box down there. Look, that's a proper Pico box. And they also sent me another scope. Now, I bought this box for it, and I bought the leads. So the coloured leads, those 4 for the signal wires, I bought those. That they were, I think those and a set of back probing pins was 800 New Zealand dollars. I paid for those at my own money a few years ago. This scope has been on loan to the dealers that I used to, that I go and visit, the Yamaha dealers. It's been on loan for about 5 years, bouncing from one dealership to another. About a year ago, I then gathered it up and it then was in my work ute as my travel scope, which meant I didn't have to take that one with me all the time. And that was useful. Used it a couple of times. And then it went back out to another couple of dealers. And it's now come back. And that's it now. It's not going out anymore. It's staying here. Because it took... I'd forgotten where I'd sent it. It took me a while to track it down. And I'm not going to lose it. Because to be fair, it doesn't belong to me. It was supplied to me by Pico, and in my mind they still own it. Okay, so it's sort of on permanent loan. They even paid the duty into the country, so it's nowhere near as well equipped as my other. We've got a 10-way 10-to-1, I think it is, 10-waiter and a little adapter thingy there. Look, there's the scope. We've got the inductive ammeter thingy in there. They're the pins that I bought, and of course it came with these clamps and bits and pieces, so it's a pretty basic one, but it's back. The good news is it's back, because for about a week I thought I'd lost it, and that, I know it's the older model, but it's still, to me, it's still worth a chunk of money, and I have a responsibility to look after it. So I'm happy it's back. And James, you know who you are. Thank you very much for sending it back. I really appreciate it. Now, the Polaris. Yeah. What a machine, honestly. So there's some really good points. I mean, the bonnet, I don't think I've bothered to latch it yet, but the bonnet, did I latch it? Maybe I did. I mean, look at that for access. Instantly, you've got access to all this stuff. You're not clambering underneath wheel arches and things. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant idea. It's got a separate gearbox to the engine. And this is old. This design's old. And it's already got that. And it makes it a lot easier to work on. If you've got a gearbox problem like we had with this one, you don't have to strip the engine as well. You can just do the gearbox. So automotive style configuration. You want to be under the seat. You know, it's just lift the seat. You've got access to all of that. You get straight to your fuel tank, fit a new fuel pump if you have that problem. You know, straight to the battery. It's just easy to work on. You know, everybody says to me, "Oh, it's a Polaris. Don't go nowhere near it. They're rubbish." I mean, sure, the drive shaft thing, absolutely ludicrous design, and the Achilles heel of many of their models, to be honest, Polaris models. But you know, not everything's good, is it? Parts. Well, there's a second-hand front diff. There's a story behind that. We'll talk about it when I come back in. We've got a second-hand front drive shaft, a couple of wheel bearing kits from White's. Oh, wow. Okay, like automotive style, you know, unitized wheel bearing, they call that, don't they? And down there in the bottom of the box is the brake pipe. And we've got two brand new aftermarket heavy-duty rear drive shafts. And again, they're from White's. I think they're pretty good. Probably not quite as good as genuines, but, you know, they're all right. Okay, so let's head outside quickly. Oh, bins for Mrs. Mechanic. Ta-da! Look at that machine, honestly. It's a fair piece of kit. Now, I've got to be careful where the camera goes. Ben's been making like an exoskeleton cagey thing, but I don't think we're going to use it, to be fair. So here we are. Ta-da! It's got a TD42 engine in it. And Ben was telling you about why he's done what he's done. And the old Funbus engine, the Funbus, you can just see the rear wheel up there, look. The spare wheel. It'd been to the moon and back, right? He found another patrol. 98,000 kilometers is all it's done, 60,000 miles. And it does seem genuine. When we were pulling the engine out, there was no corrosion on the bell between the bell housing and the engine block. It was all the bolts, really, really tidy machine. So, you know, apart from the corrosion on the body, it was a good truck. So it's in. Bell housing bolts are tentatively done up. Some of them are still missing. That's to finish. Engine mount bolts are in and torqued. There's a number of different engine mounts on these things, so we had to make sure we had the right ones. That's all done. Ben sorted that out. Good old Trevor the tractor. What a piece of kit. Made putting this engine in so easy. We've got it sussed now. We take the forks off, and that reduces some of the weight, gives us more lifting weight, and then we're able to just hock it in. You know, oh look, it's the Derrick thing again. Look, like that. Very good. But yeah, it's in. Very, very happy. So Andy Mechanic now has just got to plumb it all up before Ben's back down again. He needs to see some action. We put a new water pump on it, or Ben did. If it leaks, it's his fault. We did a main seal on it as well, which meant we had to take the sump off. So it's got a new sump gasket. Looked pretty clean inside there. No sludge, nothing like that. New sump gasket, new main seal. Bolted it all back up, and then in it went. Now, the power steering on this machine had, over here, I know, dirt floor, right? But it's proper farm stuff. Had a oil cooler on it, which we've deleted because it was very badly installed, and just didn't like the look of it, to be honest. And it had so many more connections that it could have failed. So we've put it back to original, just with the cooling loop that Nissan have around there. It's all plumbed up, and we just got to fit the power steering pump to the engine and then plumb that side of it up. Got a minefield of wiring, because obviously with this bit of petrol with an ECU, there's so many wires now that we don't need to use. Eventually they'll all get deleted, or most of it will get deleted that we don't need, but the mission at the moment is to get this running. We don't have to tidy the harness up too much. Ultimately, what would be perfect would be to get the harness out of the Funbus, which is a 12-volt TD42, and fit that harness to this vehicle. That will be the tidiest way of doing it. It's not going to happen for the cert, I don't think. We're not going to have time to do that. One other thing we found on the vehicle that he bought for the engine, it had a steering box brace on the chassis. Massive, great lump of metal. So I said to Ben, I say, you want to fit that before we put the engine in? So he's done that as well. So he's got this monstrous great brace on there. Never ever seen one on a Patrol before. Patrols don't really have a problem with the steering boxes ripping out of the chassis. But given the fact he's got the big tyres and big wheels and stuff, I said, well, you know, why not, since you've got one? For those that are interested, this is the drive shaft from the side of the gearbox. Yes, it runs off the gearbox, not the transfer box, that powers the mechanical winch. And Ben's got a lot of those winches, to be fair. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on where we are with it. I'm not planning to work on it next week. Probably the week after I'll be on it. And yes, I'll be doing some videos. I dug another bike out. Just going over this way. This one was under a tree. So my apologies, Honda. This has been on a video. We did get it running. So I need to get that running. And ultimately, this is going to be a bike that I think Ben's going to ride. This one is registered for the road. It's just on rego on hold. So I want to get that one going again and get it back, you know, so Ben can ride it. If I'm doing a trip somewhere, he can join me and take that one. Just for the hell of it, you know. Okay. Right. That is outside done. It's a bit messy under here. These are all the bits. These are all the bits that he's got me to go in. He's very organised. I'll give him that. He's a very organised lad, Ben. This is what... Oh, we put a new clutch on it as well, by the way. So he got himself a high-performance clutch. And we've got all new belts, some of the bits and pieces, and exhaust gaskets, and exhaust studs. All genuine. Look at that genuine Nissan. Nice. Good job, Ben. He does listen now and again. More wiring. I might not use that one, though. I might use Rubberlight to do one that's fully sealed. I might just go into my stock and I'll get him a Rubberlight one that I for Williams use. Because they're just better, to be honest. New nuts for the studs. Filters. He's painted his airbox. We're using the petrol manifold on the diesel because it's got better flow, we're told. Fits fine. You know. Just stuff. Linesman's bike frame. I know I've not sandblasted it yet, I've been too busy. 12-volt starter. 12-volt alternator. Off the fun bus. More bits that he's taken. Sorry, I don't mind. Engine oil. Oh, there's no engine oil in it yet. And we have to torque the bell housing bolts as well. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in here that could be deleted that the diesel engine doesn't need. Looking pretty cool, though. Looking forward to it. Right. Oh, it's such a mess under here at the moment. It really is. It's almost steel. There's no room in the workshop for it now. A poorly pillar drill. I'll get around to fixing it. One day. One day. Right, close the door. Bum, 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 bum. You think I've got a big workshop. I haven't got a big workshop. It soon fills up. Okay, is the pie done? Nope, pie's still going. It's not far off there. Okay, I think... I am still using the box fid, by the way. I tend to do the big machining on that one and the accurate stuff on that one. And then just use this one for the minor details. And I can do some stuff on there that I can't do on there based on the cutting bits that I've got. Okay, now I've got to get this set up again, haven't I? So I think probably about there should work. Right, don't need to press any buttons. God, we're an hour in. We haven't even done the pie yet. There's so much to talk about. Right, we'll get rid of that thready rod. Stick it down there. And we'll have one more cigarette before it's time for the pie to go ping, as it does. And we've got 1,000,001 comments. And I don't even... Oh, there we are. Look, 27 watching now. 28. Hello, 28th person. Welcome to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel live stream. Okay. Where do we get to? Google back. Wade Mayer. Mini Me. Connor. Done the pie. Ah, Sergeant. Here we go. Sergeant Joe Smith. Sorry, Joe, for taking so long to get to your comment. Hi, Andy. I told my friend Bart Simpson to check out your live streams. Very nice. I'm sure he'll enjoy them. Simon, the heat off the MRI may have done you some good. I must admit, having a hot shower definitely helps to ease the pain a little bit. It does sort of dull it off for a couple of hours. It's nice. And often when it was really bad, Mrs. Mechanic said, you should have a hot water bottle on your back. So I've had a hot water bottle on my back sometimes in the lounge whilst we're watching TV. And again, that helps. It does. I mean, she's clever. She knows her shit when it comes to fixing stuff. Coffee's gold. Mrs. Mechanic, the coffee's gold. The Giants. Andy, those MRI scans are not cheap. No, I bet they're not cheap. But it was all paid for by the many, many dollars of taxes that I've paid over the years. So they've covered it, which is nice. Simon. Yes. Joe, I'm waiting, says Simon. So am I. Pissing himself laughing. Look. Oh, God. It's just like a little ticking time bomb waiting to go off. In fact, it's very similar to the back pain that I have. It just bang, electric shock. At least we know it's only going to happen during a live stream, right? Or is it? That'll get him thinking. Wade, as a heart patient, I have stents, which are blood vessel crimps from the inside, made from stainless. I have a card that shows where they are and max magnet setting for MRI if needed. Wow, that's interesting. Jeez, I've heard of stents. I've heard of people having stents fitted, but I didn't know they were made out of stainless. Oh, Sheldon. Good morning, Andy, Mrs. Mechanic, and crew. Good morning, Sheldon. Welcome to the workshop, sir. One day, I hope that you'll be in this workshop with me. Yes, it's one of my things on my list that I would like to achieve on the channel. Is when you're in the North Island and you can spare a day, you want to come down and I'll show you around my little workshop. It's nothing to what you've got. It really isn't, but it's my humble workshop, and it's constantly getting improved. It's better now than it was. I've got a plan for the lighting, by the way. I have. I think you're going to like it. It's going to take me a while to do the modifications. But I think once it's done, I've got everything I need to do it as well. So it's not going to cost me anything because budget's a thing these days. But it'll be brilliant, and it'll be very, very, it'll be a lot brighter than it is now. We've lost a lot of the brightness at the moment. So, welcome back, Sheldon. Hopefully I'll see you in a couple of months. Roger Heaps, snow on the roof of the shed. I only rode a few times. Oil pump is suspect. I'd put oil in the fuel. Right. So we'll do that. I'll do a premix to get it fired up. In actual fact, I've got some premix that came out of the Linesman's bike that I can use. That's labelled up somewhere. But if we are going to do the engine up to use, I'll put a new pump in it if I can get one. Okay, Sadness with take some steel wool to the chrome on that fork. It's way beyond steel wool, Joe. It really is. Roger Heaps, if the TF185S all came with indicators, etc. They all came with indicators, etc. Front end is 2010-ish, 125. Oh, is it? So it's already got the TF125 front end in it. You see, you knew. Right, that's good to know. It's good to know. And I think that's probably the route we're going to have to take with the Linesman's bike, to be honest. And there's only very minor differences. Roger, have those bolts been missing out of the lower fork clamps since 2010, or did they get taken out recently? Just asking for a friend. Simon, for the brass bits in the carb, 10% ammonia soaked for a few days brings the brass back to brand new. I didn't know that. I'm sure I can get my hands on some ammonia from somewhere. Bear with me. I need to take a picture because that is important. Right. Thank you, Simon. M16 rod in the M16, so that's a bit bigger in the UK, is In 10.9, so slightly higher grade, £4.50 a length. That's cheap, isn't it, really? That's cheap. £4.50. So that's about $10. That's comparable, isn't it, really? I would say, because that's M12. To jump to M16, there's a lot more steel in M16. That's probably about right. I was surprised. I was just surprised how cheap it was. Really, really cheap. I should keep more stock of it, to be fair, because there are more occasions when I could use it, and I don't use it because I haven't got it, so to speak. If you know what I mean. Joe, phosphoric acid to neutralize any rust. Spray on and let sit 15 minutes. Rinse with water. Another picture. Phosphoric acid. See, there's a lot of this kind of chemically stuff that I need to learn. I want to, ideally, I need to rewatch his videos. Mr. Croker, he does a bit of it where he recoats bolts and stuff. I need to get into that. I'd like to start to learn more about that side of things. It would help a lot with the bike bits and stuff. You know, we could sandblast them or clean them with chemicals and then recoat them again rather than buy new ones. Or use non-genuine fasteners, which look crap, to be honest. Genuine stuff looks a lot better. Sheldon, save the TF for visitors when they visit so adventures can happen. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. I know exactly what you're saying. We will do that. I'm going to save it. It's a cool little bike. It really is. I mean, obviously it needs an exhaust. I'm sure we can find an exhaust from somewhere. But you know, we'll get there. We will get there one day. Slowly. I'm thinking long term with that one. Vijayant, I don't like lending out any tools. I sometimes forget who has the tools. Yes, that is a problem, and I have lost tools because of it. I like to help people. As a mechanic, I like to fix things. I also like to help people to fix their things. That's one of the reasons why I became a lecturer for a few years. I think it's the give element, the passing of the knowledge, the get people, you know, broken vehicle, help to get broken vehicle fixed. That's sort of and it's not just vehicles, it's pretty much anything. I just like to fix things. But yeah, it's a price that you pay. It really is. Joe, I've worked on a couple of those Polaris UTV, that's what you guys call it, isn't it? UTV in my shop. I don't think it's that bad a machine. It doesn't warrant the stigma that a lot of mechanics, you know, have given it, to be honest. Would I work on another one? Yeah, I probably would, actually. You know, it's not the end of the world. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this kind of stuff coming through the shop. I had a chat with Craig, and he says, yep, you know, there's always going to be stuff that I can send down that you can do repairs for me for. And that's not just an invoice. It's not just, going to create a bit of an income. It's also great fodder for videos. You know, it's real life repairs. Because I need to broaden out into more brands, because I from an engineering perspective, I have an interest to see how manufacturers do things. How did they do the four-wheel drive system? How do they do the brake system? How do they do the engine? What's their design? How have they accomplished that? And is it any good, or has it got inherent faults? I mean, for example, the ignition switch on the Polaris, we pulled the old one apart, and it's crap. I mean, no wonder they fail. It's just rubbish. I am currently working on, in fact, I've got the bits over there. Very basic, right? Because a lot of ROVs, not ATVs, because ATVs tend to have sealed ignition switches, but ROVs, SUVs, don't. Their switches tend to be more open to the elements. I mean, the Polaris one was better sealed than others that I've seen, but not fully sealed. Where the terminals go in, moisture can leach down the terminals because the connector's not sealed and get into the switch. So it's not sealed, right? Moisture still gets in. Although in this particular case, it didn't have the green crusties on the inside, which is what I was expecting. But, you know, what I'm working on is a surface mount enclosure that's sealed, and then mounted to that will be a keyed on-off switch, marine spec, and a marine spec start button. And that will have a fly lead, which will then just plug into the vehicle's standard loom. So it'll be plug and play, fully sealed, and should last a very long time. And the components used will be readily available here in New Zealand. So if, for example, in 5 years' time, the ignition switch does fail, they'll be able to source another one, you know, without any problems. So that should alleviate a lot of the issues with current ROVs out there. Not going to say what brand, but it would be a permanent fix, and one that's reliable, that isn't going to fail and potentially cause further damage to the vehicle, and significant damage to the vehicle as well, and not leave you stranded in the middle of nowhere. Hang on. Too much talking, Andy. Right, trying to catch up. Jim Haynes, the threaded rod that is lower grade, not for heavy use. It is cheap here as well. Same as smooth rod for exhaust hangers. Yeah, smooth rod's dirt cheap here. It really is. I've got plenty of that. I've got like 10 mil stuff kicking around, 9.5, weirdly enough. I've got quite a bit of that kicking around. For exhaust hangers and such, but when buying 12.9 grade 8, they make up for it. Yeah, I mean, I don't use lots of threaded rod, but it's just handy to have around for certain jobs. Oh, Kevin, Machine NZ. Morning, Andy. Good morning, Kevin. Welcome to the workshop, matey. How's your lathe? And have you used that movable support posty thing? I've not used mine yet, but I'm looking forward to using it at some point. Simon, hit the like. Thank you, Simon. Oh, JL XC49. The GQ Patrols had a recall on certain ones to install that steering bracket. Wow, I didn't know that. Was about 91 or 92 thereabouts. I feel for your back, mate. I've got 2 cracked vertebrae and have had a bulging disc. Holy shit. Well, at least I've got no vertebrae that are cracked. Jeez, that sounds very painful. But really good to know about that steering bracket. So that can't have been the vehicle the engine came out of was a very early Y60 GQ. So it must have been fitted later on at some point, I'm sure of it, unless it was an optional extra or an aftermarket part that the owner fitted from day one. I just don't know the full history of the vehicle, unfortunately. Ben's been trying to do some research, but it's all very generic research, nothing specific to that vehicle, unfortunately. Oh, here we go. Get a cheap small microwave on top of the pie warmer to quickly reheat your coffee. It's a must. 20 seconds in the ding, job done. Sounds like a plan. I'll have to sort something out. I should just drink my coffee quickly. I mean, I made this coffee at, oh God, what was it? About 10 past 8. So an hour and a half ago. Okay, catching up. Roger Heaps. It's possible they didn't get to put in, as it was about the same time as roof caved in on it, and I never got back to it. Ah, this is the oil pump. Right, okay. I will take a look. I mean, you know, they're not that expensive, so I'm sure we can find one. John Nuttall. Okay. I must have missed it when and how did the image correct itself? I can now read the hat logo. There you go. You're on the main camera. So I don't think it might have affected the quality of the image a little bit. Oh, yeah, that was terrible, Andy. But you're on the main camera, so I no longer have the screen on the phone to look at. So it makes it a bit more difficult for me to talk to camera. So my apologies, I'll get round to that more. I've got to remember that you guys are there and not here. but these are where the comments are, so that's why I'm looking away a bit. So John, that's the improvement. It's fixed the aspect ratio, and the phone was on 9:16 on both cameras, so it wasn't the phone giving out the wrong aspect ratio to YouTube. It was just YouTube doing something weird with it. So we're going to have to stick with this from now on. I'm quite comfortable using the camera as it is, but it'll take me a while to adjust, so to speak. So my apologies. I don't think there are any disadvantages to using the main camera. It seems to work okay, so we'll stick with it unless something pops up. Now we got some messages. Oh, Simon. Oh, pie's getting cold. Roger sent a there's loads going on here. Roger sent a video. Oh, doggy video. Hang on. There you go, look. Doggies. Very good, Roger. Mrs. Mechanic is thinking about getting another little puppy now. Not one of those, just to put it out there, but another little puppy. Sheldon, pie's getting cold. Yes. Simon. Oh, my word. What's this? Simon's been machining stuff. Oh, that looks nice. Again, very hard for me to judge where you're on, if you can see what I'm seeing, but there we go. Hang on, I think it's that way. No, it is that way. There we go. So you've been making stuff to extract injectors successfully by the looks of it. Look at that. Very good, mate. Very good indeed. Professional. That's what I like to see. Holy moly. You've got to have a lathe, right? I couldn't be without a lathe, or two, or three, as it turns out. Awesome. Okay, let's go and get the pie, and then we'll crack on with the comments again. Right. Oh, geez. Here we go. Back around the workshop. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I do like that bike. I do. Thank you, Roger. Okay, I'm pretty sure the pie is still pretty damn hot because the pie warmer keeps it warm. Here we go. So this is a Southern Pies thingy. Hopefully that'll work. Great Southern Pies steak and cheese. There you go, look. Nice. Okay, we're going to get straight into it because I don't want it to get cold. And it is, I can feel it is starting to cool down a bit. And it's quite cold in the workshop this morning. So, there you go. Top, unaffected by the heat. Sides, we've got a bit of a wrinkly thing going on here, but I think that'll be all right. It feels a little bit soggy. Yeah, a little bit soggy on the base, so we've got to be careful of that. The sides feel very soggy, which is weird. Normally don't get that with pies. Okay, we're going in. We've got the score sheets. We've not done this one before, so it's a new one. Interested to see how well it does. Wow. Despite the soggy sides, a lot of pastry. A hell of a lot of pastry. That is so thick. That must be 13 millimeters thick pastry on the sidewalls. That has got to be the thickest sidewall pastry I have ever come across by far. And it feels, when you bite into it, it's quite gooey because of it. Now, where do we get to? Oh my word, you guys are busy. Scrolling up. Miguelip 3509. Hey, hopefully that's pronounced right. Hey Andy, question. I have a 2017 Yamaha Viking and I'm finishing up doing the head gasket and the timing chain seems very hard to get on. It's weird. The camshaft sprocket and the tensioner is removed. Any ideas? You've got to have the sprocket off. You loop it onto the cam chain and then you put it up into place on the cam. And then double check your timing marks. You can get them, if you're in the wrong place, you'll have to bring it back down again and jiggle the chain around a bit. You won't get it on with the sprocket already bolted up. That's probably what you're doing, because I've never had any problems getting on. If you now, just a word of warning before you go any further, and it might be too late. You've done a head gasket on the Viking. Now, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, that you may have had an overheat situation with the engine. If that's the case, did you do a hardness test on the cylinder head? It needs to be over 100 on the Brinell scale. Very important, write that down. Brinell scale needs to be over 100. And you only need to test usually around the exhaust valve area. That's normally where it's at its lowest. If it's under 100, you've got two options. You can get the head re-hardened, which is potentially reasonably expensive, or unfortunately you're up for a new cylinder head. You should also always check the head for warpage, and most likely end up getting it skimmed. Yes. And use a genuine Yamaha head gasket, always. Let me know. Joe. Hey, Simon. Should we tell Andy to Google my friend Bart Simpson? He's kind of famous here in the States for his prank names. Honestly, I watch The Simpsons, right? Is there an undertone to that comment? I don't know. It's gone way above my head. Simon, I'll send you some photos of what I used the M16 rod for. That was the pictures. Thank you, Simon. John Nuttall, regards your back pain, I bet you use a leather belt. They have no give. I do use a leather. I always worn leather belts. They have no give for us portly men. I am portly. As we bend, this puts strain on the spine, was told by a consultant for my back. That's interesting. Every day during the day, I wear a leather belt. So that could be a contributing factor. Thanks, John. Simon. Moe's Tavern, yes. Roger Heaps. Sorry, bolts missing, might have been there. I have never been there, as front end change happened about same as the roof collapse. You don't have to apologize, Roger. I was just imagining potential of riding the bike around with those two bolts missing and the risk of death. That's all. But I've got plenty of bolts. It's not a problem. We'll find some more. It saves taking them out when I strip it down. Lol. Yep, Moe's Tavern. Very good. I don't think he knows Bart. I do know Bart. Bart Simpson. I know Bart. Sheldon, you have turned the engine over. It will jam down the bottom. What? If you've turned the engine over, it will jam down the bottom. Ask me how. How? It turns over, all right? Well, back to the pie. Big chunks of meat. No cheese yet, though. But big chunks of meat. Okay, we need to crack on with the pie. It's getting cold. Taste stroke flavor. Well, I have to say it's overwhelmed by pastry. I mean, it's thinned off a bit, but it was pretty bad. Okay, so it tastes quite pastry-ish, but this is the taste stroke flavor of the contents. It's a shame, really, because I would like to take the pastry flavor into this score, but I can't. It tastes a bit bland, to be honest. I'm going to give it a 6. Structure Foley Partners, it's okay, but we've got a big divot starting here, and it's just under its own weight. Despite having lots of pastry, it's quite soggy pastry, and it's not very strong. So, it hasn't fallen apart, And I am eating it one-handed most of the time. We've had some pretty bad pies. I will give this, I'll give it a 7. I think 7's fair. Runnability test, it's going to pass that. It's pretty solid, to be fair. So we'll give it 10 for that one. No movement at all. And important, I mean, there's not really many crumbs on the bench either, so it's not particularly flaky as the pastry, which is a good thing. Meat quality. I think it's going to fall down. And I know there's big chunks of meat, but yeah, I've tasted a lot better steak than that. That's pretty, it's almost like stewing steak. But another big chunk there, look. It's good. So it scores high because it's big chunks of meat, but the flavour of the meat isn't great. I'll give it an 8. And that's because it's big chunks. It's not often you get nice big chunks of meat in a pie. Now, pastry to contents ratio. And I think the saving grace of this pie is the fact it's a 220 gram pie and not a 200 gram. So it's a bit bigger than your average pie. So the majority, well, I would say probably all of that extra 20 grams is pastry weight. But there's still a reasonable chunk, reasonable volume of pie filling, which is important. And it's not full of filler. There's some nice big chunks in there. It's not one chunk of meat and then crappy gravy all over the place. Nice. So I'll give it a 7. Now, availability of the stroke logistics. These were bought at our local supermarket, which means you can also get them online. I haven't seen these for sale in petrol stations or dairies, but the bag is set up for that, given the fact it's a perforated bag. So I'll give it a 7 for that. It would get more if I'd seen it in petrol stations, but I haven't. Pastry taste rating, it's not great. It's pretty damn gooey. There is some cheese on the top of the pie. That's probably going to add a bit of flavour to that part of the pastry. But to be fair, the soggy pastry, it's not great. I'm going to give it a 4. I think that could be massively improved. And to be fair, if I put it back in the pie warmer for another 10 minutes or so, it probably would fix most of those problems. The top actually is quite crunchy because of the cheese. Good. Still tasty when cold. Well, I think with all the gooey pastry, if that was cold, it wouldn't taste that good. I'm going to give it, because it's steak and it's cheese, then that makes it much more edible when it's cold, to me personally. I'll give it a 6. I could be wrong. It might taste horrible when it's cold, but it is cooling down, and the pastry's the killer. It really is. Now, packaging design. I like the fact you can see the pie, you can see what you're buying. It's quite a distinctive logo. It's pretty obvious what it is. It's got a colour-coded flavouring. The steak and cheese is a coloured band. I haven't seen any other flavours of this pie, so I don't know if that band changes colour depending on what you're buying, and then it becomes more obvious when you're getting it off the shelf. But somebody spent a bit of time producing that label. It's not a 5-minute job. A generic bag, they'll just buy those on the roll, and so that's cheap enough. But it's better than a paper bag from a normal sort of baker's. So I'll give them a 7. I think 7. They've spent a bit of time with their logo and stuff, haven't they? It looks quality. It doesn't look cheap, but it's still simple. I like that. Recyclable score. Well, it isn't. So, do they tell us it's recyclable? No. But it isn't recyclable, so they get 0 for that. Post-pie heartburn. Had 1 burp so far. It's not doing too bad. Now, stuff building score we can't do until I finished it. Pie server attractiveness, the Simon segment. I think it was a young lady at the supermarket. I'm trying to think which supermarket it was. Ah, yes. It was in Cambridge. New World. I'm going to give her a 5. She was happy enough. Could have spent a bit longer getting ready in the morning, to be fair, but that's all right. Don't want to sound rude, but that's where the points are. Okay. So I need to finish the pie before we can finish the schools. Where do we get to? Oh, scrolling back, scrolling back, scrolling back. Sergeant Joe Smith. Cool, you do know Bart. Sorry, I thought you didn't. Mini quip. Mini quip. Yeah. It was overheating. Yes. And coolant mixed with my oil. Yes. I did the check cylinder for warping. Good. And it was good. Also make sure the valves didn't leak. Excellent. Valves are normally pretty good on that model. The cam sprocket is off and the chain seems too small. Make sure the chain is hooked onto the sprocket of the crank. If it's not locked in on the teeth, then that will pull the chain, effectively pull it downwards because it's a bigger diameter, and you won't have the gap to get it on. I did a video on a Viking engine top end rebuild. So if you dig that video out, I haven't got time to find the number. Just search on my channel, Viking engine or Viking head. There's a video there showing the step-by-step process of rebuilding that engine, or the top end. Correct, mini quip, you're right. I don't think you're quite on the sprocket. I think you've allowed the chain to drop down and it's not quite keyed into the sprocket on the crank. It's never normally a problem. Sergeant Joe Smith, thanks for the live streams and videos and being so cool, Andy. That's all right, mate. I wouldn't say I was cool, to be fair, but anyway. Simon. Sheldon, balance shafts. Separate cam chain. Separate chain for balance shaft. Simon. Well, in fact, it's gear driven is the balance shaft on the Viking, so not that. Simon, is that the real Joe Smith tonight? Yeah, I'm waiting for something to come. He's been very refined today, refrained. Sheldon, if you turn the crank on a 700, there's a gap down the crank sprocket cam chain guide area where a link can get jammed. There you go. In picking, that's what's happened here if the chain seems too short. Thank you, Sheldon. I've never had that problem. Maybe I'm just lucky. Okay. So, pie is done. It was pretty cool by the end of it. My fault for leaving it in the warmer too long to cool down. It didn't taste great near the end. It really didn't, to be honest. I'm going to knock that down to a 5. I mean, things always taste better when you're hungry, right? So you find it in your glove box and you're hungry, you're going to eat it. Post-pie heartburn, only 1 real burp, so we're down to 9 for that one. It's not a bad score, really. We've had a lot worse. I need a new pen. Stuffability. With that gooey pastry, I'm actually quite stuffed. Probably a bit overstuffed. I'm not hungry anymore. So it's not... The perfect score is 10. I'm a bit overstuffed, so it bounces back down again. I'm going to give it a 7. It's not often we have that problem. Okay, we've got some scores to add up. So that's 13. Yes, 13, 23. Oh, another burp. Okay, that's down to 8. Jeez. 23, 31, 38, 45, 49, 54, 61, 69, good number, 76, 81. That's pretty poor score. Come on, pen. 81. Only just. I need to find a new pen. I've got plenty in the office, so I'll go and find another one later on when I'm inside. Okay, so let's go look on the board and see where it ended up. I don't think it did very well. So there you go. Scan. That's the scores. Scanning. There we are. 81. So where is 80? Oh no. 81's on the back cupboard. 81. Oh, it's got its own space. It would go in there. So it's marginally better than a Big Ben double XL creamy butter chicken bath. Irvin's The Beast, beef, bacon and cheese. That must have been, oh, very dry look. 82. So it's on the back wall, which means we will never have another one. Not impressed at all. I'm using my other toolkit. That's my, that's going to go live in the chimney, to be honest. That's my toolkit, my travel toolkit out the ute. Been all over New Zealand now. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. That can go live back up there again. I know, I've got to take a picture, so we'll stick it on there for now. I'll take a photo. Right, we'll have one last cigarette, and then we will call it a day, because things are clocking on, right? I've got jobs to do. I've got Polaris to finish. That's today's job. Finish the Polaris. Get it out the door. Very important we get it finished today, because I've got other stuff to do. Okay, where do we get to? Oh, there's somebody at the door. Hang on. Hang on. Is that a coffee? What have you got there, honey? Oh, my word. Oh, yeah. Fresh coffee. We're all good. We're all good, people. How long have we been going? I don't know how long we've been going. Did it tell me? Oh, 97 minutes ago. What's that, an hour and a half? We're okay. We're all right. I can do a bit longer. I'm fine with that. Right. So, catch up with the comments, and then I've got something to show you. Yes. Where we get to? Am I going to have to take off the cover to get to it? No, I think it's more of just a jiggly around kind of a thing, to be fair. Joe, I'm a mechanic too, Simon, with my own shop. I'm actually a nice guy. Yes, you are. I just like teasing and pranking my friends. I admire Andy, so try to mess with him a bit to show the love. You keep us on our toes, Joe, I must admit. It's all good, mate. It's all good. No hard feelings at all. Sheldon, yes, stator cover side off, rotor off, except, oh, really? You can't just give it a jiggle. That's annoying. Okay, so you'll need a puller to get the rotor off. Need to buy a puller. Yeah, I watched all those videos, and it seems so easy for everyone else. I'm guessing I need to take off that cover, and hopefully it's easy to get the chain back on. Yeah, it's annoying. It really is annoying. I'd be tempted to give it a bit of a jiggle to start off with, and maybe just rotate the crank a little bit and see if you can pull it back out. Don't use any spanners and stuff. They're no real force. But I think if you just easy, I mean, it got in there, right? It's going to come back out again. I would definitely try it without taking the rotor and all that stuff off first. You might be lucky. You might get lucky. You'll feel it all of a sudden. It'll suddenly get longer. Right? It'll come up. John Nuttall, has the Bonnie gone back to Alan? Yes. Yes, it has. Yes. Very happy about that. Not the bike's fault at all. Nothing to do with the bike. I don't want people thinking that I don't like Triumph Bonnevilles. That's not the case at all. I was very much looking forward to getting that bike finished and get it back on the road. But, you know, circumstances and other factors at play prevented that from happening. And it happens to projects. Not all projects get finished. It'd be a very different world if they did. And it just highlights how fragile a project can be sometimes. It depends on many, many different factors, and that isn't just the bike. But anyway, JJ, Sergeant Joe Smith, I've learnt to my peril that trying to do humor via text can sometimes be lost in translation. The receiver / audience can't see your face or hear the tone of your voice. You're absolutely right. Body language is instrumental to humor, really, isn't it? It's part of it. So it's a very dangerous game to just be writing things and expect them to be humorous. It's all about the delivery as well, how it's delivered. Those little pauses here and there make all the difference. Comedy is a real art. Oh my word, what's going on? Somebody wants me. Who could it be? Oh, the Viking. Yes. Understood. I've been following Andy for years. This is Joe. He remembers me and knows I'm just messing, but yeah, good point. There you go. Simon, I do find some of the funny, Joe. Miguel, thanks for the advice, Andy. Hey, no problem, mate. No problem at all. I hope you get sorted out. Simon, all of a sudden, it will get longer. That's what she said. Obviously a girl mechanic, right? Obviously. Now, the other day, a few days ago, probably a couple of weeks ago, we had a calamity. Watery eye. We had a calamity. It was very sad. And it happens now and again. It's happened before, and I'm sure it'll happen again at some point in the future. But it was, in the moment, very sad. And the sadness is in this box. I'll give you a clue. Any ideas? Okay, so let me give you another clue. Yeah. Recognize the logo? It's sad to say it is beyond repair. It is in many, many different pieces. Yeah. So in there are all the other bits. And I think from memory, Mrs. Mechanic was saying the handle fell off and then it fell on the ground and broke and shattered into many, many pieces. So, Colin, if you're watching, matey, I am very, very sorry. Your mug is no more. However, I will be ordering another one because I need my Colin Furze mug in the morning. Yes, I do. I like to collect the mugs, and that was quite sad. But it's done a lot of work. You know, let's not discount that. It's done a lot of coffees over the years. So we'll get another one, and you'll see it on the channel in the future. I do support Colin Furze. He's a great YouTuber, deserves all the success that he gets, and does some absolutely mind-blowing projects that are huge. They are big budget. I mean, the tunnel stuff and the DeLorean lifty thing. He's clever. He's a very clever lad, and he perseveres, and he refines his designs until they work. He sees it through. and I like that. So I have to get another mug. I've got to support the guy. Yes, thank you, Simon. Joe, hey Andy, here we go. Do you like jazz music? No, I hate it, to be honest. Have you heard? I'm trying to read ahead and think, how could that be possibly a joke? I'm gonna have to Google it first. Simon, help. I don't know. Oh, Hughes Jazz Club. Okay. All right. Maybe it's true. Have you heard of the Hugh, long pause, jazz band from New Zealand? I haven't. I don't follow jazz at all. Not my kind of music. I just find it's just a higgledy-piggledy mess. I like tunes. I'm sure it has its place in the world, just not in my world. Simon, cam chains. This is a clean live stream. Thank you, Simon. JJ, no need to wash that mug up anymore. No, it's gone. Joe, lots of smiley faces. Yes. Simon, I like my knobby mug. The right cup makes the drink taste right. It does. Perceived taste. Yes, me and Mrs. Mechanic have discussed that. Cups of tea always taste better in a teacup, right? And when come from a teapot. But to me, it's the same. Simon, it's a bum joke. Oh dear. Oh dearie me. So anyway, what's on the agenda? What's that? Oh, Cambridge Sports Medical. Yes, 11 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'll be there. Emails, nothing important. Great. Okay, so yes, working on the Polaris today, filming again. We've got rear wheel bearings to fit. We've got obviously the new rear drive shafts to drop in, do that at the same time. Got a brake pipe to do, which I should really do first because there's more I can get in easier with all that stuff off. So maybe I'll have to sort of split the video. I don't know. Be smart about it, Andy. Front diff to replace. We've got a second-hand front diff. Price of parts, incidentally. So I don't know if Craig wants the old front diff back. If he doesn't, I'll message him later on. If he doesn't, then we'll strip it and have a look. Be interesting to see inside. We'll do that on the diff replacement video. But what's happened is the failure, I think, is what happened, is the circlip. Due to all the fact that the splines are up to the elements, there's no seal, the circlip has corroded away, right? Very annoying that. They go out a lot more these days. I don't know what's going on. Circlip's corroded away, that's disappeared, allowed the drive shaft to pop out. It's run then half in, half out of the splines at an angle, and it's just chewed the splines out of that output gear or flange on the diff. So you go, you know what, we can fix this. Just order the new output flangey bit with the female splines in it, and we'll pop that into the old diff, and we put it back together with some new seals. That would have cost, in New Zealand dollars, I think it was about 1,300 New Zealand dollars for that one part. It's a kit, so obviously it happens more than once. So it's a kit. It comes with 3 parts. Let's see if we can find the photo. Not that one. This might be, yes. So it is number 3. Number 3 on the diagram. Okay. So number 3 comes with 3 parts and 3 new seals, pinion seal and output seals, Output seals run on the outside of that component against the casing, so they don't protect the splines, but you know that. About $1,300. A new front diff complete was about $2,000, $1,800 plus GST, something like that. No, more, $2,500, sorry. And a second-hand good front diff, that one, originally the guy wanted $1,800 for it, and Craig was able to barter him down to $1,500. Big money, right? Big money. The new parts, extortionately expensive. Second-hand parts, still very expensive. I mean, $1,500 for a second-hand front diff is a lot of money. Sure, it's $1,000 cheaper, approximately, than a new one, but it's still a lot of money for what it is. This little component, and it is small. It's very small. It's really the size of an ATV front diff, to be honest. ROV parts are getting astronomically expensive at the moment, and you really got to think, is an ROV like the Polaris used on a farm to get around the farm and check on the cattle and fix fences and things, is it really the best vehicle type to use cost effectively? You know, they're pretty fragile on the, on the componentry. They're pretty unreliable in their design. They are a road going vehicle, and I'm thinking of the Suzuki Jimny or equivalent. Quite a lot of farmers use the old RAV4s, the one that we stripped years ago. That shape, the 2-door or the 5-door, the 3-door with a back door, but the 3-door or the 5-door, they could pick those up relatively cheap, but they're worth more money now because farmers are realizing that it's a cheaper alternative. Even if it's more money than what they used to be, it's still cheaper. They can be driven on the road if they've got a warrant of fitness. So for the same kind of money, or just a fraction more, if you're buying a new ROV side by side, what did he call it? SUV? I don't know what it was. You could pay $25,000, $28,000 here in New Zealand for a reasonably good side by side. You could go and buy yourself a brand new Suzuki Jimny base model for about 33. Not much more. You could buy a good second-hand one that's a year old for the same kind of money, about 28. Chuck some knobbly tires on it, and it's gonna do 90% of your travel around the farm. It comes with a free windscreen and doors. I'm not a salesperson for Suzuki. It comes with aircon. It's got a tow bar. It can tow up to a ton. You can go to the shops in it. It's warm. It's warm, and it's got plenty of room inside. And they're pretty capable machines. I mean, with the all track or all grip system on it, they do very, very well. The differentials are massive. They just don't break. Just change the oil and you'll be fine. The gearboxes, far more substantial. Parts are readily available. Outplenty of little Jimneys get crashed. There's plenty of parts in the breakers yards, if it ever got to that. But I think the gearboxes and the engines would outlive the time on the farm, as long as they looked after them and serviced them. Service intervals are much further apart, so the cost of ownership, the overall cost of running that vehicle, is significantly less than running a side-by-side. Plus, you wouldn't need to put it on a trailer to take it for a service. You could just go down, get it serviced, drive it back. They might even give you a loan Jimny to use for a couple of days to still do what you need to do if there's any major repairs. Trying to get a loan side-by-side out of a dealership, that's hard work at some dealers. Some of them just don't have any. So I think the tide is starting to turn a little bit. I think farmers are pretty smart, and they're now starting to explore other options. Do they have to buy a side-by-side to do that job? Now, sure, the difference between a side-by-side and, say, a full-size pickup like a Hilux, yes, huge difference, because a Hilux is like $70,000, $80,000. But if you're buying a small four-wheel drive vehicle, like a Jimny, the price isn't much different. So why wouldn't you? Plus, another major benefit is the depreciation on a Jimny, for example, versus a side-by-side is significantly less with the Jimny. So your asset retains a lot more of its value. If you were to flick them on after 3 years, provided you looked after it reasonably well, and didn't roll it down a mountainside, then you'd get a lot more money for a 3-year-old Jimny than you would a 3-year-old side-by-side. Food for thought. And as every year goes by, I'm thinking it's becoming more and more advantageous to go down the Jimny route, or the four-wheel drive vehicle route, as opposed to these side-by-sides. And if parts continue to go up, and parts availability is poor as well in some cases for some models and some brands, you could be without your vehicle for months. I can't see that being the same problem with a four-wheel drive vehicle. You're always going to be able to source parts through the wreckers and get your vehicle back on the road again. So, I think things are going to change. If prices continue to go up on the ROVs and parts prices continue to go up in the way that they are on the ROVs, farmers in general will start to shift to a different vehicle type, i.e. a small four-wheel drive vehicle. But that's just my take on it, and for what it's worth, and I've been in this industry all my life, so I think I know what I'm talking about. And I know how good the little Jimnys are. That one we've got is incredible. Absolutely, the all grip system. I know it's an electronic system, and I don't like electronics on four-wheel drives, but, and this is a big but, and don't forget I was part of the testing with Land Rover UK on the Mark 2 or Mark 1? Mark 1 Freelander, helping them with the algorithms for traction control on our site. So I've got a pretty good idea what's going on. And the Jimny beats the Freelander hands down, mainly because it's got a low ratio gearbox. The Freelander doesn't. But no, I think it's a great option. And Suzuki's electronics seem to be pretty reliable, apart from the lane departure thing, which is so annoying. But other than that, you can turn that off. So other than that, it's a pretty good little platform. And there is a company here in New Zealand now which convert the Jimnys into little mini utes. But they're like 50 grand. They're too expensive. You wouldn't go down that route, I don't think. If Suzuki themselves did one from the factory as a ute, as a pickup, and they charged a couple of grand less than the Jimny, I think they would be cashing in on that. I think they'd sell a lot of them here in New Zealand. So, Suzuki, if you're listening, you should do that. Okay, what have we got? It's a bum joke, funny. Simon, you're going to see them drive shafts welded in with those prices. Yes, probably are, actually, just to get going again, right? And if the final, well, I say if the gearbox fails, I mean, what would you do, Yeah. If it all goes to pot, I suppose you could still use the inner cup and just replace the rest of the drive shaft. It's not often the inner ones wear out. Possible, isn't it? Craig could have done that. What would that cost? $10 in welding wire and gas? It's worth a go, isn't it? Maybe I should put it to him as an option. Joe, I pranked a live streamer so many times years ago. Once he caught on, he made me a mod so I would stop. Funny part was his mods all laughed and let me keep doing it. Funny. Roger, lots of farms around here running older RAV4s. It's a growing trend. If there were more old RAV4s available or equivalent vehicles, I think we'd see a big shift right now because the cost of ROVs is crazy. Oh, Bengineers Bikes. Ben's online. Morning, Ben. Recall looks to be 88 to late 93, early 94. Wow, so it covers a huge range. That bracket is Nissan's fix for the recalled models. Then beefed up the chassis, changed the engine mounts to the 4 bolts, which we've used, and the steering damper and pitman arm. He's a clever lad. He does his research. That's really interesting stuff. And we did discuss about the engine mounts because some of the ones we'd taken out were only a 2-bolt. And I said to Ben, I bet they've been noticing some twisting and some shifting on the engine mounts because of that. And we sort of discussed it. And sure enough, that's the reason. That's why they went to the 4-bolt engine mount. Not 4-bolt onto the block, but 4-bolt onto the chassis. you know, because there's a lot of torque with those big heavy engines. Makes more sense. Ben goes on to say, found a few Aussie groups that have been discussing the steering brace issue. Apparently, the bolt on the brace doesn't fit the latest, strongest chassis like mine. We made it fit. Yes, we did. We did make it fit. Connor K. Morning, Ben. Cheers, Connor. Well, I'm sure Ben will be back in maybe 3 or 4 weeks' time, back in the workshop, and we'll be continuing work on his Patrol. And we'll do some videos, you know, with Ben as well, as to where we've got to. We're very much looking forward to getting that machine presented back for compliance and getting it on the road. And then Ben will be using that as a daily driver. I'll then potentially get the Funbus Mark II, the long wheelbase that he's using at the moment, back. And that will then give me a vehicle that I can use to tow my trailers around. And that will help immeasurably with workshop loading and jobs that I can do here in the workshop. So watch this space. There are benefits coming. JJ, great show as always, Andy. So much good info from you and the crew. Thanks for giving us your time to do this feed every second Sunday. JJ, no problem at all, mate. I've enjoyed it, and I appreciate you guys for watching. You know, there'll be lots more videos coming out. I am juggling at the moment. Mrs. Mechanic is still transferring all the files, the old rushes, the videos that I've filmed over the years. There's over 1,000 of them, onto the NAS, which is the new storage system we've got. She's not that far away. She's done quite a few hard drives, probably got 5 or 6 still to go. Once everything's in that storage system, then she's going to flip across to helping me edit my videos, which will give me more time in the workshop, which will mean more videos, right? So we've got a plan. The year is starting to speed up. There's the odd little lull here and there because I've had to go off and do medical things and other stuff gets in the way. But overall, we've seen a lot more videos hit the channel. I do enjoy doing the shorts. I know some of you don't like the shorts, but it really helps with the algorithms, and it does bring new people to the channel. So I've got to keep going with that. And they're more a bit of a tongue-in-cheek with Holly, a bit of a laugh, and they help to launch a new video for me on the channel. You know, for example, the ignition one for the Polaris and stuff. Those videos, I think, will be long burners, I call them, where they take a while to get going, but long-term, they'll be quite popular. They're not really a short-term flash-in-the-pan video because they're quite specific. But, you know, we're getting there. And I really, really appreciate all your support, as always, and your time for joining in on this live stream this morning. I'll see you again, probably a bit more bearded next time round, in a couple of weeks on a live stream. You'll probably see me in a few days on a video. All right, crew. Well, thank you for all the comments. I really, really appreciate it. And I promise I won't shave again for a while. Looks weird, doesn't it? I'm just not used to it. Need a bit more, you know. Ben should be down next time late on the 3rd of June through to the 9th, when I'll drive back to Auckland for work on the 10th. Sergeant Joe Smith, thanks, Andy. No problem, mate. Right, crew, I'll see you around. Cheers. Over and out.